welcome back. And wow, it's amazing to be able to say it's 2021 and we are getting ready tomorrow to have our first day of classes, the first day of the semester. And some of our student athletes will have class in person, some hybrid, and some Zoom. And so we always like to traditionally kick off the semester with somebody that's motivational, somebody that's exciting, somebody that every year it's better and better. So we think we're going to have one of the best guest speakers tonight. And I want to introduce our guest speaker for tonight, Marques Ogden, and tell you just a little bit about him. Marques grew up in a single parent home with a father that inspired perseverance and fairness. He learned how to define his values and set goals from his father. He attended Howard University, where he played Division I football, and then followed his dream and his brother Jonathan's footsteps, getting drafted in the NFL in 2003. He played 5 years as an offensive lineman with the Titans, the Bills, the Ravens. He following his career, Marques started Caden Premier Enterprises, a construction company, in 2007, which quickly became a multi-million-dollar construction firm. However, in 2013, it all crashed down around him. He ended up losing everything. And tonight, he is going to share with us some of this story. And I know we have a few people on here that had the opportunity for the holidays to meet Marques personally at an event that was held here in town. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go on mute. And I want to remind our student athletes and coaches and other friends who are watching, you can always type questions in the Q&A, and Marques will leave some time for those at the end of this. So Marques, thank you again for joining us. And as we say, go Bulldogs, take it away.
Thank you, Janet. It is such a pleasure to be talking for UNC Asheville Bulldogs. I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of you back in, that was November at the event over by the Biltmore. And I'm going to talk to you all tonight about the power of perseverance. As you all are now coming back into school, getting back into maybe going to class in person, maybe doing things virtual, maybe doing things Zoom. I want you to understand that perseverance, as you can see my shirt that I have on, it really is about having grit. It's really about getting through the difficult situations and times that you might face to push forward to get to where you want to go in life. Now, let's talk about getting to the point of how are you going to train yourself? Training yourself is all about how do you listen to your coaches? How do you listen to your administrator? How do you actually train yourself to be the best? I'm going to give you an acronym later on in the presentation to help you understand there's a 5-step process to train yourself to become the best version of yourself. You want to become a victor, someone that's victorious. Doesn't mean you have to win all the time. It means you just have to show up all the time and not be a victim, not make excuses for yourself, not say, oh, I didn't have this opportunity, I didn't have that opportunity. I only got one scholarship offer to college, just one. And I took that one offer, went to college, and I had a professional career in the National Football League to where I am today. Made a lot of mistakes along the way. I'm going to share that here in a moment, but I want to first give you my personal story. If you don't know who I am and where I've been, you can't really resonate with me, which is actually part of the acronym TRAIN. I'm actually from Washington, D.C., grew up Northeast Washington, went to St. John's College High School, the same high school that an owner you all might know, Kevin Plank, who owns Under Armour, the CEO, same high school he went to. We had the same high school football coach. I was a 2-year starter on varsity, and I had a great career in high school, played a lot of great games, had a lot of great competition, but my coach made a mistake my senior year, and everyone thought I was a junior when I was really a senior. So none of the offers were coming in, and I literally thought that I was going to be done being an athlete after high school. I literally thought playing high school football, my last game against our arch-rival opponent, was the last time I would ever put pads on. About a month later, I had a call from Howard University. Coach Steve Wilson, who was a former Denver Bronco and Dallas Cowboy, called my father, who was also a Howard grad and played football for the Bison, said, Mr. Ogden, can me and our line coach come and sit down with you and your wife and your son to talk about offering him to come to Howard University? Now, everyone, again, train yourself. At that time, my mindset was I was finished. I was done. And I was putting myself in such a state of negativity, self-doubt. And I'm going to tell you all tonight, when your mindset allows negativity to seep in, it becomes part of your culture. Your coaches are going to tell you this. When you have a culture where people start thinking negative, it can bring down a team. It can bring down the way in which you act together, play together, and the culture is the most important part of any student athlete, any team in college. The teams that have the best culture have the best chance of winning. Look at Alabama. That's the way they have a culture that they have. Every winning team does that. So I trained myself, unfortunately, at that time to have a negative mindset. When Coach Wilson showed up at my door and sat at my dining room table and told my parents, we want to offer your son a full scholarship to Howard University, believe this or not, my mindset was still negative. Kind of like, oh, I got one offer, that's it. But you know what? I'm this offer, I'm gonna go to school, play sports, that's when I got to college, you all, on that opportunity, because of my negative mindset, I didn't take it seriously my first semester. I literally didn't go to class. I literally didn't show up. I literally didn't train myself to be a great student or a great athlete. And because of my lackluster approach, I got a 1.8 GPA my first semester. I will never forget my father telling me this. He said, Marcus, if you are not going to go to college, take advantage, train yourself to be the best version of yourself, I'm going to pull you out of college. I said, Dad, how are you going to pull me out of college? You're not paying for it. He said, Marcus, I'm a Howard grad. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell Steve Wilson to rescind your scholarship, give it to someone that actually wants to show up, that wants to be the best. Ladies and gentlemen, you all have a chance. You all have an opportunity. You're at UNC Asheville playing for the Bulldogs. You deserve to give your staff, your coaches, people that believe in you the best every single time you go to practice, you go to class, you go to the field to play your sport. If you're not doing that, unfortunately, you're not meeting what they are showing and what they are giving you, an opportunity. So start training yourself to take full advantage and be the best version of yourself. So after my father threatened to pull me out of college, that next semester I switched majors to business finance. I ended up becoming a 4-year starter at Howard as a right tackle and offensive tackle. But most importantly, I graduated with a 3.8 in my major and a 3.5 overall. Now, here is what I tell everybody. When I was at Howard, I was so focused on my education, I didn't really care about playing football, right? I just played it because I enjoyed it, competition, I love the ability. When I saw my name in an NFL draft magazine, I remember calling my brother and said, Jonathan, we need to have a talk. Because my brother was already in his 7th year with the Baltimore Ravens. He is a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, youngest in NFL's history, beat out Barry Sanders by 3 months. Called him and he sat down for lunch. He said, Marcus, let me put you like this. What do you want in life? I said, Jonathan, I just want to be the best I can be. He said, okay, Marcus, look at it this way. You're very good at school. You've been working your tail off there. You have opportunities. I had interned, ladies and gentlemen, at Merrill Lynch. I had interned other places. I was working on my future. I knew that sports was not going to be the end all. I don't care if you're Tom Brady, who's 43. At some point, you live long enough, you will be an ex-athlete. So what are you going to do with that? How are you going to prepare for that? Because I'll tell you in a little bit, when my career ended, I was not prepared to be a person who wasn't having sports anymore. So you're going to learn from me so you don't make my mistakes. So my brother said, Marcus, you've worked this hard. You put in this effort. Train yourself for the last year. All you're going to do is school, football, train, repeat. School, football, train, repeat. That's all you're going to do. And you know what? I did it. For that entire 12 months, I dedicated myself to my craft, to be the best of the best. As a result of that hard work, ladies and gentlemen, I was drafted into the National Football League at 22 years old. And I'm the first and only, still to this day, lineman ever drafted from Howard University, ever. And you're talking to a young man, well, I'm 40 now. You're talking to an individual that was literally almost done after high school. I thought my career was over. Went to college, I almost flunked out. I didn't being an NFL athlete. I didn't know any of that stuff. I just want to be a successful person. But I'm hoping you're hearing from me that when I thought something was about to stop, an opportunity arose. And I took full advantage. Like tonight, I'm going to give you things to help you. I remember being a collegiate athlete, what it was like. Yes, having to practice. Yes, having to go to class. Yes, having to go play. Yes, having to travel. Understand, work things, get things done. You're tired. You're like, wow, I got to focus. I got to get things done. Trust me, I understand. But understand this. When you leave college, if you do what you're supposed to do, you will be a commodity in the workforce. People want athletes to work for them because why? You're dedicated, you're focused, and you give it your all. So if you do the things right now and learn from what I'm going to tell you and what your coaches and the people on this screen are telling you, you will have an advantage when you leave your college. So again, drafted to the National Football League by the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jack Del Rio, who's now the defensive coordinator for the Washington football team. I'll never forget what Jack told us when he drafted us in his first, that was his first year as an NFL head coach. First year, he was a total rookie at that position. He brought us in and said, gentlemen, you are now no longer collegiate athletes. This is your job, full-time. But I'm gonna tell you this, I hope you all get this. In life, you have to be your own CEO. I remember asking Jack, Coach, what do you mean? We work for the Jaguars. He said, Marcus, you work for the Jaguars, yes, but you also work for yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, you go to UNC to play for the Bulldogs. Yes, you do, but you're your own brand, your own entity. When you treat yourself, think about it this way. If you have a brand that is respected, that is dedicated, that is focused, that is driven, what happens? You put out what? The best product. If you have a brand that is lackluster, cuts corners, doesn't want to work hard, takes time off, doesn't give it your all, what do you put out? A subpar product, right? I know what it's like to be the best of the best at my sport for many years. I'm going to tell you right now, you all can do this if you just look inside yourself and remember, you are your own CEO. Plain and simple. You take command of the journey. The people on this screen will help you. Your coaches will help you. Your family will help you. But they can only help you if you are willing to listen. They can't force greatness for you. They want it for you more than you want it for yourself, right? I've been speaking for all these years now, going on 8 years. Literally, I was told no for 2.5 years on every job I went after. Never gave up. We'll talk to you about that in a minute. But again, Jack told us that, and I'll never forget it. Played in the NFL, had a almost 6-year career, loved every minute of it. Let me tell you this though, it was the hardest years of my life. Because people think, oh, football's great, you only see days. You don't see what it's like getting up at 5 a.m, being there at 6 a.m., not leaving until 10 p.m. during training camp. You know, traveling all the time, all the injuries, all the things you have to do. And you all know what it's like to have to stay on your field and be your best. Yes, you do. But remember, you have class, you have other things to do. When I was playing in the NFL, there was no class. It was all day giving it the best of the best to keep your job. So I hope you understand there's a lot of things you have to go through for all the glamour that you see on TV. So again, the career was phenomenal, but here's the problem. When my career was over, I was 27 and a half years old, and I was not prepared. I talk to you all right now, train yourself. I'm gonna go through that in a little bit. There's a 5-step process to train yourself to be the best and know what you're gonna do with life and create your roadmap, create your blueprint. I didn't have that. I didn't know what to do. So my career was over for 6 months. I got into alcoholism, I got into gambling, I got into nightlife, and I got into a pain-popping addict. I took hydrocodone like it was candy. My body was hurting. I was depressed. I was in a very, very bad place. After about 6 months, I finally found a construction business. I took my skill sets. What did I tell you all earlier? People love athletes in corporate America because they know if you bring the same energy, focus, and effort you did in college to your sport, to that job, it's going to help that company what? Thrive. That's what people want. They want people who can help them thrive. So that's what happened to me. Start a construction business. I started it at 28 years old. By the time I was 30, I had the largest African-American subcontract business in the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. We were #1 in site work, earthwork, utilities. Now here, as I built the company, I was very humble. I was very hardworking. I was focused. I was dedicated. The minute I got to the top of the mountain was the minute I started to think everything I was doing was right. I was never wrong. And my ego was taller than the state building. And once I had that mentality, it started to turn for the worse. What did I tell you earlier? Good dialogue, good healthy discussion, learning, listening, that creates a winning culture. The minute you start getting ego-driven, think you're the best athlete, you can start showing up late, going to class late, cutting corners. That's the minute you can start looking at your demise coming straight towards you. I tell everybody this all the time. Never in life get mesmerized by early success. Never. Because success can come, but it can go. Took me 5.5 years to build my 8-figure construction company. 2012, made a really bad mistake, didn't listen to one of my best employees. It's kind of like you all having a great coach giving you information how to get better, and you don't listen. You don't take it. You don't take constructive criticism and apply it to your position, wherever sports you play. And the minute you start doing that, you can start to see you're not as good as you think you were, because every coach can give every athlete another nugget to be better. Everybody has a coach, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, everybody. Why can't you? So again, take full advantage of your coaches that are trying to give you information and help you because they have been where you are. And when you can listen to them, that will give you a leg up in life. So I did listen to my employee. He said, Marcus, if we don't watch out, in 6 months, we're going to bankrupt. I said, Colin, what are you talking about? We have a line of credit. We have this job. We got all this money in the bank, yada, 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 yada. The following month, he comes in because I had such a negative attitude and a negative culture that was brewing. He left. 6 months later, like he predicted, company shut its door. I had to file a complete Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Think about it like this. All that you've worked so hard for in your life, gone in 90 days. My home was foreclosed on. Both my cars were repossessed in the same day. I was a multimillionaire April 2012. April 2013, I had $400 to my name left. That's it. No credit cards, no nothing. I was almost homeless, completely homeless and out on the street corner in 2013 April. Now imagine that. NFL athlete, 8-figure a year business owner, 90 days later, because he was arrogant, egotistical, didn't listen to anybody, thought he knew it all, was almost homeless. Every homeless person, just 9 times out of 10, does not just go there. Something in life happened to them. They made a mistake. They didn't listen. They got arrogant. Cards didn't work out. Whatever it is, something put them there. And I know exactly what it feels like, because I was 1 week away from being on a corner under a bridge with nothing to my name. The NFL stepped in to help me, gave me a chance. Marcus, we're going to pay 4 months of your bills, but you have to work. When the 4 months is up, that's it. We're out. We're done. So I ended up going to Merrill Lynch. I thought I was going to get things going there. Fired after 2 months. All my fault. Again, arrogant, egotistical, thought I knew it all. Got a job the next day to a company, fired 5 days later. Shut the company down. The only job I could get was a custodian making $8.25 an hour from 10 p.m. till 5 a.m. working in downtown Raleigh for $8 an hour. That's it, right? People say, Marcus, you made $8 an hour. How did you survive? What were you thinking? And you know what? When you're broke and you made some real bad decisions, your ego goes out the window. But you gotta eat. You gotta eat. I was tired of eating out of food pantries. I had to swallow my pride and get a job and take care of my responsibilities. That's what I did. And I ended up having my aha moment. So an aha moment, everyone, is that moment you say, okay, in life, I have a choice. This is something that's happened to me. I can either go up or down. You don't stay where you are. At your aha moment, when life hits you and says, make a decision, either listen and make the right choice and go up, or don't listen and think you know everything and go down. Happened to me September 2013. I ended up having somebody's spoiled milk, rotten banana peels, funky, nasty, protruding meat all over my body, my skin, my clothes, because I was taking the trash out at 4:30 in the morning. The bag ripped. I didn't see it. Threw the trash in the trash. Pow, comes all back on me. And I'm sitting there with my head in my hands and on the curb, crying my eyes out, realizing that my life had become a mere shadow of a man who thought he knew everything and stopped listening. I don't care how old you are, what sport you play, male, female, I don't care. The minute you start thinking that you can't get better or you can't listen or that everything is above you, is the minute you start going down. I've been there. Learn from me. Don't try to say, oh, I'll figure it out on my own. Don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. So I ended up having that moment. And at that time, I said, I'm going to become a speaker. I'm going to help people get their life together. But just like anything else in life, when you start something, you got to start where? At the bottom. I worked at the bottom 2.5 years, not one paid job, not one. That's perseverance. This is why I want to talk to you about the power of perseverance. Athletes, we have an innate ability to keep going as long as we keep listening. The reason that my life went into shambles, I stopped listening. I stopped asking people for help. I thought my mindset was all fixed. I know it all. I'm best. I'm great. The minute that became my life, the minute my life said, Mark, I'm going to show you how great you are not. And you're going to go down. You're going to get up. You're going to stay down. That's your choice. So I started my career, not one paid job, got my first job for Miller Mock College in Wilmington, North Carolina. I look back since. Worked for 19 Fortune 500 companies, the NFL, the NBA, colleges, all. I've written 2 best-selling books, you name it. But I'm going to tell you right now, don't think that it was easy. Don't think that, everything is just handed to me, because it wasn't. It wasn't. So I'm going to challenge you right now. Do you all have what it takes to train yourself to be? Do you have what it takes to drop your pride, push your ego aside, open your ears, your eyes, observe, create a plan for your life, and execute? I can't do it for you. I can only tell you how to do something. These next few minutes are going to be probably the most important for you for this talk. First thing, to have an unbreakable mindset. Number one, have great physiology. What do I mean by that? Move with energy. Be excited. When I talk like this to people, I'm not sitting here like you, like back here like this, or just relaxed, or like, oh, this is nice, have a nice little time. No, I'm right here like you can see me, like I'm looking at you as best I can. I'm not just talking low, boring. Nobody's gonna no, like this is what I love to do. So this is energy, this is passion. This is like, I want you to be great. So if I'm gonna want you to be great, if I'm sitting there talking like this and bored and like, oh, you're like, this guy's not serious. You're right, I wouldn't be. But I love what I do. So that's good physiology. Number two, control your mental focus. For goodness sake, when life gives you a curveball, hit a home run. Don't strike out. Don't complain. Life is designed to be hard, but life is designed to also do well if you can understand how to put yourself in that position to never, ever give up. That is huge. So that's a main point. Control your mental focus so you're always putting yourself in the best positions to do well. And the last one, believe at your core you deserve to succeed. If you don't believe you deserve to succeed, why would anybody else? Right? Your coaches are going to believe in you, but if you don't believe in you, they can only do so much. If your teachers believe you can be great students, but you don't give it your all, that's all they can do. Janet can want you all to be the best student athletes on the planet, but if you don't do that, if you don't give the effort, her hands are tied. Her hands are tied, as your coaches are. So you have to understand that to be great and have an unbreakable mindset, good physiology, be very energetic, control your mental focus, believe at your core you deserve to succeed. Now, the acronym TRAIN. 5-step process for you to train yourself to be great. The T stands for teachable. If you think you can't learn, you're done. You're stopped right there. You cannot train yourself if you cannot open your mind up to be teachable and be taught. People who are going to give you information, if they see you're not listening, they're going to stop talking. They're not going to share with you. But they're like, well, why am I going to share with you to help you if you aren't teachable? You all are young student athletes. The one thing that you all have that we don't have is you all have a lot of time on your hands. A lot of time. But if you have time on your hands, you're not going to listen to anybody, then the time is not as valuable. It's not as valuable. So you have to be open to be taught and teachable. The R is resonate. Resonate with your coaches. Resonate with your teammates. Resonate with your teachers, with the community. People want to be around people that they resonate with, that make the effort to try to relate to them. Because if you're trying to relate to somebody, it shows them that you are trying to what? Learn. You're trying to hear what they're from. You're trying to what? Be in the same, put yourself in their shoes. That's huge. People do business and they are act and be around people that they like. If they like you, they will work with you. Learn how to resonate. Apply. It does. Strategy without execution is useless. Means nothing. You have this great strategy about you want to go do this in life, you want to go do that in life, but if you never apply or do anything and move forward towards your strategy, why even create it? You wasted time. You have to apply what your coaches are telling you in Bulldog Nation. You have to apply with what Jen and her staff are telling you to be great student athletes. You have to apply what I'm telling you to help you with your life. But if you don't apply and actually take action steps, what good is it? Most adults in corporate America that don't succeed are the ones that don't apply what they know. Remember this saying, knowledge is power. Applying knowledge can be life-changing. Plain and simple. If I was where I'm at as a speaker, if I had this great strategy, but I didn't go through learning, doing jobs, being awful, getting booed, getting critiques to be where I am today, I wouldn't be here. Wouldn't be here. Janet wouldn't put me in front of you if I was just a beginning speaker, because she wants you all to be great. But if I'm excellence, then I'm the wrong person for this job. Apply, ignite, turn the passion on inside of you. I don't care if you get into a car, a boat, a train. I don't care what you get into in life. If you don't put the key in the ignition and turn it, it don't start. Doesn't go anywhere. That's your life. You have the key to your own life, right? Your key right where you are in life is in the ignition. It's right there in the ignition. You're at college, you're an athlete, you're doing well. Here's the ignition, here's your key. Turn it, your life's gonna go where you want it to go. Don't turn it, you're gonna be sitting right where you are. All of us that are adults and have had our day, we know tons of athletes who had great talent that didn't apply it, that didn't ignite the passion. And all they are is they are people that talk about what they used to do and how great they day, and now it's passed them by. And they live in life with a really, really bad word, regrets. The end is next level growth. You always can get better. You always can be more. The minute you think you can't be more, or you start regressing. Learn from this acronym train. Be teachable, resonate with people in your circle, apply the information you're being taught, ignite your passion to be great, and go and get next level growth. And the last one I'll talk about is the acronym PIVOT. In life, when things happen and we're not prepared for them, pivot is about changing your strategy without changing the vision. Eric Ries. That is what pivot is. You're changing your strategy without changing your vision. The P stands for poised. Think about this. If you meet someone new and they're confident, they're very poised, they're sharp, they seem very just aware of what they do, who they are, they have a good aura or presence about them, you do what? You flock to that person. If someone's coming to you jittery, antsy, not very confident, what do? You usually shy away from that person. So if you're gonna pivot in life and change your strategy without changing your vision, the first thing you have to do is be poised. You have to be poised. If you're not confident in yourself, no one is gonna look at you as a thought leader or an expert. That's the P, okay? The I is inspire. I don't care who you are or what you do. If you're motivated, you're in the wrong place. Motivation is short term. It's you wanting to gain external forces or things for yourself. Money, fame, notoriety. That's motivation. I was motivated with my construction company. That's why it worked out. I didn't really want to do it. It was something I did just to pass the time, made us a lot of money, but I wasn't passionate about construction. I've been down for almost a little over 7 years. The first 2.5, not one paid job. Still sitting right here, right now, loving this more than ever. More than ever. I'm inspired to what? Help be accountable for your own success. That's the I, inspired. V is a victory mindset. 3 types of mindsets. Fixed mindset, you think you know everything, you can't learn, you can't grow. Completely negative. Growth mindset, that's pretty good. That's middle of the road. You think you want to get better, you want to listen. Problem is with a growth mindset, you're only worried about your growth, your advancement. In a victory mindset, it's your growth, it's your teammates' growth, it's your coach's growth, it's your teacher's growth, it's everybody you come in contact with. This is why when everybody that you come in contact with has a shared alignment around a unified vision, you can be great. The victory mindset is all about people on a certain path with the same vision working together to go to the finish line and beyond. That's what it is. So you make the choice. O is observe. Look at everything around you. Process. Look, be aware. How can you get better? Go talk to your coaches. What can you do more during the offseason to be your best? What can you work on? You have your strengths, great. What do you need to improve upon? Is it your endurance? Is it your coordination? Is it your hitting? Is it your pitching? Whatever it is, figure that out. Ask them, observe. And then T, be a tactician. What did I tell you earlier? Drawing up a strategy and not executing that strategy is absolutely useless, because all you've done is took a lot of time to create this beautiful roadmap. I call it your bird's eye 30,000 square foot view. You've created that. But if you're not going to take the things you do every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year to be great, it's just a thought. It's just a wish. It's a thought to be great. It's a wish to be your best. It's not an actual plan. When you write something down, ladies and gentlemen, you hold yourself accountable to getting it without even knowing it. Because when we see it in front of us, we know we need to execute at the highest level. That's what it is. So that's how you pivot in life. You have to be poised. You have to inspire people, which is breathe life into them. Don't be motivated by external forces. Don't. Because eventually, when the forces burn out, so do you. And be inspired. Have a victory mindset. Be observing and be a tactician. And in closing, the jam will open up for Q&A. In life, you have to believe it before you see it. I just cannot tell you that any more plainly. Your coaches believe in you. Janet believes in you. The staff at UNC Asheville Bulldog Nation believe in you. You represent them. What did I tell you earlier? Be your own CEO. Like Coach Del Rio told me when I was 22 years old, 18 years ago, I'm 40 now. I will never forget that as I live. And I tell it to my daughters and every kid I coach, both any sport that they play, anything. In life, be your own CEO. Don't wait for somebody to tell you to do something. Don't wait for a coach to say, go to the gym, get an extra lift. Go get your work done in class. Go to study hall. Go to the library. Don't wait for somebody to tell you that, right? People don't want people that have to tell what to do. Be a self-starter. Turn your key in your ignition to be great. Don't wait for anybody else. But again, if you don't believe it, it's not going to work. So in order to have success at the highest level, believe it before you see it. And again, train yourself to be the best. And when life throws you a curveball, use pivot. It's a change in your strategy without changing your vision to get to the finish line and beyond. When you have that mindset, there's nothing you can't accomplish. Janet?
Wow. Tell you what, I was taking notes. I have in my little Bulldog notebook here. The training and the pivoting is obviously so important to all of us right now as we are working our way through the spring semester and getting all of our student athletes back in practice and competition. I noticed there was a question. David, you're usually my behind the scene guy asking questions. You want to ask the question that got typed in there?
Sure. Marcus, one of our folks on here asked, how do you get more people from the growth mindset to the victory one? For example, 15 teammates to go from growth to victory mindset.
Excellent question. The first thing you have to do is you are the athlete, part of a team. Have team get-togethers and start having open dialogue. Start talking with each other about, okay, what are the goals? What do we want to accomplish this year for the team? People start talking about, okay, well, here's my individual goal, here's part of the team goal. Great. And then from there, as you're discussing and dialoguing, you need to start creating pretty much team unified goals that put you on a victory mindset path. Don't wait for your coaches to do this. You all are teammates that work together, that play the sport together. You all can connect with each other without your coaches and start getting things done and having dialogue. It's very much similar like corporate America business. You have to learn how to talk to other employees, co-workers, to have that dialogue. So it really starts with Dave having open dialogue and discussion as a team, people sharing their goals, what their thoughts are, and creating some.
Can y'all hear Marcus, or is he frozen? Yeah, Marcus, you're frozen. Hang on there for a second. Yep. Give him time to come back, everybody. He was creating so much energy and passion there. He's burned up his Zoom. Donna, can you, or Rebecca, can you shoot him a quick email? Oh, maybe he's off and he's going to come back. While we're waiting for Marcus to come back, I was going to say, he said a couple things I thought was really, really important. He started out talking about culture, and I know we've all heard this many, many times. You know, culture will beat out strategy in anything that you do. And I know that's one of the things that many of our coaches and some of our team captains are working on, to have a really great culture, not only on your teams, but also within our department. While we're waiting on that, I know Terry and David, y'all been part of teams, and Aaron, you were on a team at Indiana University. You want to talk a little bit about culture while we're waiting to see if we can get Marcus back on?
I mean, there's nothing more important than culture. It's the way you are successful together. You have to have a good culture. You have to trust each other. You have to believe in each other. I love what he was saying about turning the key in your ignition. Just imagine if everyone on your team turned the key in your ignition at the same time, how much you can do and how much you could move forward. And I mean, it's exciting to think about that, but everybody, that's part of your team culture. Everyone has to be bought in, and everybody has to do it together. And the success levels, if your team is successful, you're going to be individually successful as well. And when you do it, not just for yourself, but for the team.
Marcus, yep, we got you back now. That's
Okay.
We were saying you were so ignited there and fired up, you burned up your Zoom.
Sorry about that. No, I'm back.
Yeah, we were talking briefly. One of the things you said early on was how important culture is. And I was sharing that we've all heard many times that culture will beat strategy any day of the week. Talk about some of the ways that you've seen, or maybe as you're working with teams or Fortune 500 companies, about establishing good culture.
So great question, Janet. Good culture comes from great leadership, allowing dialogue to ensue and progress within the organization. Steve Jobs said it best. His hardest job at Apple was to make sure that his trusted employees felt safe to be able to express themselves without judgment. Culture is going to play a major role, because if the culture is healthy, sustainable, and it has a good, solid bond, things work well. So for example, I have a client, it's $1 billion a year a food product company. They hired me in January of last year for a workshop keynote. Then I got hired to a consulting contract with them. And they haven't seen each other in person since January because of COVID. But every month we have sales calls, team meetings, consulting. And I'm gonna be very honest, Janet, the first about 4 to 5 months was very hard. The culture there was so toxic. It was so negative. People were afraid to talk to leadership. They felt micromanaged. They felt underappreciated. And we worked through that. And it took me a while. I got beat up on both sides, because one side felt the other side was like, oh, they need to try hard. People on the other side said, oh, they gotta stop pushing us. They're controlling us. And I was caught in the middle. But I kept working at it. And I kept saying, look, to both sides, if you don't like what I'm saying, I understand, but I'm trying to create a culture here where everybody can win. And finally, after about 6 months, it was a year contract, the company has turned around, and they're now the largest tomato company in our country, 3 times over their closest competitor. 35% of our nation's ketchup is my client. And I was told by the leadership on Friday of last week, Marcus, you have really helped us develop a great culture, because we haven't seen each other, and without your work and taking their thoughts and taking what they've been wanting to say, bringing it back to us to really dialogue and try to make some real objective corrections, we wouldn't be where we are. And they've had a $200 million growth increase, Janet, in the last 6 months.
Wow, that's a great story. David, you said somebody's got a question.
Yeah, Catherine Brown raised her hand. Donna, is it possible to unmute her so she could ask Marcus a question?
Hang on, I'm trying.
Catherine said that was an accident. She didn't really raise her hand, but here she comes. Got to be careful there, Catherine. Now you're on the screen, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
No problem at all. So, question, are you? Okay, we'll let you go back to mute then. That happens sometimes. Catherine got really excited about listening to this, and she was raising her hands, maybe celebrating what a great speaker you are. You know, one of the other things, you know, during this time, particularly over the last, 8 to probably 11 months, we hear that word pivot a lot. You certainly gave us a different definition of it, which I really liked. Share with us a little bit, what are some other things that, as we're trying to, and maybe from your experience working with different companies, as we're trying to really find things to celebrate, keeping that positive attitude, you said, talking about, igniting our passion for what we do. What are some things that we need to avoid to make sure that we can keep in that, pivot and go in the right direction?
Great question, Janet. So things you want to avoid is you want to avoid, the constant bickering or the constant, frustration if things start to go wrong or they don't work out the way you want them to work out. I learned this from a program at Penn State when I went there for some of my coaching to get where I'm at today as a speaker. You want to always be cognitive, not emotional in life. And the minute people get emotional or they start to show stress or anxiety, you start to show your hand and you start to show people that you're not very professional in how to deal with things. So when you're starting to pivot, if things get frustrated, which they're going to be, which I totally understand that, and I have those days as well, but you don't want to show it. If you have those days, do it, behind closed doors, vent to a close friend, a close trusted inner circle member. But the minute you show that outside of that circle, it can open you up for possible, things to go wrong, or it can throw you off track. So I think it's very important, Jan, to be very cognitive, not emotional, as you are going through the process if you're trying to pivot or you're trying to change a strategy without changing your overall vision.
Great. David, we got any more questions back there? I think one came up here. Let's see.
Yeah, we had one more come in, Marcus. You recommended an open discussion with your teammates to gain motivation, but what would you recommend for a team full of quote unquote strong personalities, or for people who have teammates that may not necessarily be open to feedback or change?
So what has to happen there, if people aren't open to change, what you have to sit them down and say, look, if we're not going to have dialogue on these topics, we won't reach full maximum potential. And we didn't come to college at UNC Asheville for the Bulldogs to just be average, to just be, okay or so-so. If we're going to work this hard, we have to learn how to give and take. If you have people that are very strong, hard-headed, or very bullheaded, you have to learn how to have discussion, and you have to kind of have a give and take. Like, for example, with my marriage, love my wife. When we met, very much she, and so was I. Well, in our marriage now, been together now for almost 9 years, she gives on some things, some things I like to do. I give on some things, let her do what she likes to do. And now we have a very successful marriage. It's the same thing with playing sports. If you have a strong bullhead, yeah, some things you might want to do your way, fine. But then learn to give a little bit as well. And on the other side, same thing. Have some things you want to set down in some standards, but then give a little bit. Because here's the thing, if you don't have this type of unified coming together, all you're going to do is have a team that's negative, that's toxic, and not going to be a great experience for you, for your coach, for the school. And it's going to be like, wow, I've been doing this and I'm here all this time and I'm not really giving it my all because I'm not gelling with my teammates. And again, I've been around some teams that were like that. And when we started talking to each other and working through our different situations and kind of learning how to give a little bit and kind of let other people have their say, things got so much better.
Yeah, David, I think we got time for one more question or two. I think there's some more in there.
Marcus, how do you pivot, change strategy without losing trust from your team or your teammates in your overall vision?
So great question. If you're going to pivot, right, you need to make sure as you're pivoting, it's still in alignment with the vision of the organization, of your team. So what you must do is you must tell people in your team, hey, I'm doing this right now, but I'm not getting to my full potential. I'm not maximizing my efficiency. I'm going to pivot and do it this way. And because of me doing, I know I might not be as good right now as I want to be because it's a new strategy and I'm changing my course a little bit, but stick with me. I'm not abandoning anybody. I'm not going off on my own. I'm just trying to pivot myself better for the team. Open communication is the most important aspect when you're pivoting with a team culture. If people don't know you're struggling with something or you're not getting something done to the best of your ability and you're trying to pivot, but nobody knows that, it will create a toxic environment. Take a few minutes, take some time, and let people know what you're going to be doing. So when they know that you're struggling a little bit in that new direction, new strategy, because you're pivoting, they're not going to be like, oh, what's wrong with this person? What's wrong with them? Okay, well, she or he is pivoting. And they're working on a new strategy to help get the team better, have alignment. So open communication, letting people know where you're at, how you're struggling, and then from there, the pivot should help you get to the finish line and beyond in alignment, Dave, with the team of the overall goals to win.
Wow. Marcus, we could go on and on. You've got a lot of knowledge and experience to share with us. We want to really thank you so much for joining us tonight. We know you are very sought after, popular speaker and consultant, and for you to share some time with us tonight as we're welcoming our student athletes back for the spring semester. I know I took notes. I'm sure our student athletes and coaches and others on here did too. Hopefully we can take some of your words of wisdom and put some action, because we know that that's the key, that really, listening and learning is wonderful, but how do you put those things into action? So I want to thank you again for being here. I also want to say to all our Bulldogs and our coaches and staff and others who may be on here listening in, today was Martin Luther King Celebration Day, and I hope you took a few moments to reflect on what that really means as we continue to implement our racial roadmap, racial justice roadmap going forward. So today was a day off for some, and some use that day to volunteer and do things to really help our community, help our teams, help our university. So I want to thank you for that. You start tomorrow. Remember, be your own CEO as you go to classes, whether it's in person or Zoom or hybrid. Be your own CEO at practice. Bring your best self. And don't forget to constantly remind yourself of what you need to do to train, and be willing to pivot too. And so take those words from Marcus. And Marcus, thank you again from all of the Bulldogs, and hope everyone has a great night, and we'll be seeing you soon. And let's go Bulldogs. Good night. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.